Well, I'm starting things off by having a look at the equipment that I use. I'll show you what I use, why I use it. I've been doing this nearly 7 years now, and there's a reason that I use the equipment that I do. And just as a caveat, I've chosen this equipment based on the way I work my business. This is going to be different for different businesses. Maybe the way your company works, the goals you're working toward, the sort of work that you tend to do might mean different equipment, but this is what really works for me. So we start off with the pole that I use is the Gardner SLX. Now originally I had this as the 18, so it's the 4 section, which is fine for 2-story, and where I was from originally there wasn't a lot of 3-story houses that I tended to be doing, so if I came across them I was just using a step ladder just to get the extra height. Where I am now there does seem to be a lot more 3-story houses, and so I added the extra section on. And when I first started window cleaning, me and my brother had aluminium poles. Worst mistake we could have ever have made. Didn't last very long doing that. That's when we switched over to Gardner poles. And I have tried some others and quite a few different ones with Gardner poles. So for a long time we had the CLX, the carbon composite one, and I kept that as a spare for a while. That could sometimes come in handy because it was longer than this one, and the flex in it could be helpful sometimes. But a good thing about a carbon fibre pole like this is it's lightweight and rigidity, so don't like to be wasting energy on trying to bring back a pole that's flexed too far one way. So this is really good for that. Now I have used a 5-section pole when I was working for another company, and using this for 5 days of work a week did start giving me some trouble. So if I was doing that much window cleaning again, I would go back down to the 4 section because it does most houses just fine, and then either only just swap out the pole when I need it, or maybe have another setup for just for use on those 3-story houses. But I find at the moment having the 5 sections is fine because I'm not doing as much window cleaning, so I'm not getting some of the RSI that I was getting when I was doing windows all the time. Now let's talk about the brush. So the brush that I've got on here, it's looking a bit manky at the moment because it's very well used, but this is the Gardner Sill brush. Now I've been through quite a few different brushes over the years, and I've landed on this one at the moment because this is the one that the company I was working for had, and I'd used the Sill brush before, but I wasn't getting along with it too well. But when I tried this one, there's differences in having a small Sill brush than having a large one, and also the fact that these are flocked bristles, so they're nice and soft on the front, but you've got the hard bristles on the edges. So I find that this is really helpful for just keeping the one angle, and it makes it easy for doing sills. The flock brushes that are soft help with things like leaded windows. It's enough to clean windows on a maintenance clean. If I need to scrub anything, I've got the hard bristles. But I find those hard bristles on the edge are really good for getting spiders' webs out the corner of windows. It's the fastest I've ever been able to get them out is using this brush with these bristles. Now, the jets that I've got on this brush, this might be controversial, but I really like pencil jets. I've used fan jets on and off a few times, and I personally just can't get along with them, particularly because I like to rinse really precise. So when I've rinsed down the frame, I then spend more time at the top of the window. I take my time just at the top to try and make sure I rinse everything out that could normally leak out into the window. So I like having pencil jets for that, and then I almost turn the brush at an angle so that I'm rinsing the top and also lower down. And as I go down the window, then I've almost got two rinses happening at the same time. So it's almost like the window gets two rinses, which ensures that I always get a good finish. I find I get along with pencil jets a lot better. What I have seen is, I believe it's from X-Line, the brush that has loads of little pencil jets. So it's almost like a mix between having pencil jets and fan jet. The fact that you've got so much area covered by all these little pencil jets. I would really like to try that out at some point because I like the idea of that. But that's the setup I prefer with my brush at the moment. I also find that this brush is really versatile because I've got so much different equipment for different jobs that I'm doing. I like to not have any extra equipment than I need to. So this brush is fantastic for doing fascias and soffits. The flop brushes really help to spread out to get underneath the gutter. So yeah, I found this a really good all-round brush, and particularly chosen the small one because I want it lightweight. Now of course you're only adding whatever weight here, and there's might only be a small difference between brushes, but as you extend that pole out, you're also multiplying the weight. It becomes heavier the more you then extend that. So I like to have a small brush, and just for longevity, make sure I'm not getting injured or that no injuries are building up over time. Now we'll talk about delivery system. This might be a shock to some in the industry. After nearly 7 years, I'm still on the Gardner backpack V3. Now, the reason being is I've tried a few different things and I have tried a van system. Me personally, I get along better with a portable system than I do a van system. A van system wound me up so much. I like to be efficient with my time and energy. I didn't like reeling out loads of hose, having to trail that around cars, plant pots, getting caught on brickwork, getting caught on tyres. Bins are awful for getting caught on. I find it a lot easier, even though I do have to stop and fill this up. I find that it's much more efficient on water and it takes up less space, so I don't need as big of a van to be able to fit everything in that I need. And I don't have a problem carrying this around. I find that it works for me great, and I find that I'm more efficient with this, but I certainly don't get caught on as much. One of the problems I found with the van system is that you've got high likelihood of knocking over plant pots, ornaments. That happened a few times. I don't remember any breakages, but I don't like to risk that because there were some people that had complained. The company that I work for, we had notes to say to be careful about some people's plant pots and ornaments. So I quite like a portable system. A lot of my equipment is portable based. They're usually smaller, take up less room, fit more in the van. I quite like portable style equipment, but again, based on your company, the sort of work you do, because I know that a van system is way better for doing commercial work. Now, I don't really focus on commercial work when it comes to window cleaning. I have had commercial work in the past. I actually lost some because of COVID, and then more recently I actually decided to drop some because of just the way the payment system works with doing commercial work. I don't prefer that way of doing things. Again, just the way that I like to do my work, but that's not for everyone. So I can see how a van system does work for certain kinds of companies. Just this is my setup and this is how I work things because it just works for me. I find I get on with it the best. I find that it's really efficient for me. So when I was doing 20 to 25 jobs a day, I don't work that quick anymore for reasons I'll cover in other videos. But when I was doing that with a Gardner backpack, I could do it in 150 litres a day. Now I still don't understand how I did that. The van system, usually filling up with about 300 litres minimum for a day. Well, I find I can be so much more efficient using the backpack. I love using that. So I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on this setup. what you use, what you might be able to recommend for me to use, or to try out to maybe improve what I've already got. Always looking for ways to make it more efficient, get easier on my body, and to do the best job possible. So let me know what would be good.